Now, the next part of audience research I want to share with you is once you've gone through your kind of research and you've found potential pages of competitors or other brands that are related to whatever niche you're in, you can actually take that and start going deeper into other pages based on another way that Facebook gives you data. So let's say, for example, I'm in the fitness and wellness space. I'm in the, I don't know, let's pick meditation, for example. And we go down here, we find some page likes, and, we find a page here once it starts to load. And, let's say relevance is, let's have a look at audience size. Target, nope, that's not great. Let's go back to relevance. So medical medium 1.4, I don't know, empaths, old souls and introverts. That sounds interesting. Let's click on that one. So when I click on this, it takes me straight to their page. Now I'm looking at this page here, and FYI, if you're looking at the border at the top and wondering why it's gray and not blue, it's because I'm in Business Manager and not on directly on Facebook. So I'm going to this page now because it's come up through my research and I want to find out a bit more about it. So I'll give you an example. If I was doing, let's say I'm running a client account at my agency and we're selling products that are related to meditation and well-being and things like that, and I've done my research and I've landed on this page. Now I want to know what this brand is about. Now they've got 3.8 million fans, which is great. What I want to do is find out a bit more about this page. Now there's a few things that I would do at this stage. Number one is I would look at pages liked by this page. Now with this, interestingly, I don't think the page here is quite of interest. Usually what happens is when you land on a page, there's some really good suggestions for pages liked by this page, because when pages like other pages, they're sending out a signal that, hey, we exist, hey, we're interested in you. Sometimes there's an admin on a page and they just randomly like other pages because that particular person has liked something else. So that's probably what's happened here. So I'm going to come back to a different example. But the other way I would do this is when you like the page, and this works in most countries, I think there's a few countries, maybe it does. When you like a page, it also gives you related pages as well. So, if you hover over them, you get an idea of how many likes, which is the main thing I'm looking at. So 697k, 3.2. So I'm looking at meditation. So introvert isn't quite right. Motivation, maybe. Soul speak, 119 likes, k likes. Maybe I'll have a look at that. Awakening the mind, meditation, sure. And look at this, 166 likes. I might have a look at that, for example. And then what I want to do is just keep going down the rabbit hole to find an idea of how I can target different interests. So if I look at this page and I think, you know what, meditation, things like that, the content of what they're sharing and potentially their fan base are going to be similar to who I want to target, then, I would potentially use this and see if I can target them in terms of interest. So if I copy the page name, take that into Audience Insights, if I paste it here, let's see if it comes up. It doesn't. So that's not a page I can target. So if I, empathy does come up, it's not really necessarily related. So empaths isn't a page that I can target based on interest. The other thing I can also do is to potentially look at who their followers are to get an idea of the profile of the people that are attached to a page, and that we'll talk about in a separate training. But this one right now is I want to go down the rabbit hole of what I call page stalking. So this is me looking at the background of what pages we have here to get an idea for which other pages I can target. So let's, if I try this one here and see if this comes up, maybe it will, maybe it don't. But if the page has enough of a following, then sometimes it comes up as an interest. This one doesn't, which is a shame. But again, I'm going to go down that rabbit hole again. So I would, for example, like this page and see what Facebook makes of that. see if there's any other recommendations, and continue going down to really go deep into understanding this particular space. So I'll give you an example. The meditation space, if I'm selling a product, whether it's an info product or physical, it's not an area I know anything about. So I would use this kind of process, going deep for maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes to really find out, what is this niche about? Who are they? And the other cool thing I'd also do with page stalking is I love the fact that they Facebook link the page to the group in many cases. So you can actually click on groups and see what groups are out there as well, because I would join those groups and I would go and see what people are talking about. So, you know, for example, there was one example a few years ago where I was selling Egyptian products online for an e-com client, and I went into these Egyptian groups to really understand, like, what were people geeking out about when it comes to archaeology and history and, you know, ancient Egypt and stuff like that. Again, not an area I specialized in at all at school or in adult life, but at least with groups and with the page, it allowed me to go deep into their world by tapping into something that was already there. People are talking about it. So this is an example of the landing page for one of the pages. And this is another page. And you know, if we go and look at groups, so groups isn't loading right now. Not sure what's up with that. But again, it just gives you an idea. So I've clicked into community. They have a group. There's only 1,500 members in there. Not so massive, but you know, I can have a look at that group. I can join the group, and I would spend a few days in there just reading the posts to see what people are about. Some of these groups are public, even though you need to join them. You can just read the post without joining, and that's even better. And I think this is a great example of that. Native Media Network, Toxic. So a lot of it is inspiration and people wanting to share inspirational messages. You know, some of these groups are just not necessarily going to give you as much information as you want. Facebook do then start giving you suggestions based on the groups you're looking at, which, to be honest, because I do so much research, you end up getting like really random suggestions. You can kind of see these things come up here as well. So, you know, this is just me going deep into trying to understand what my niche is, what they're interested in, who they are, etc., etc. Looking at the landing page, you know, how do they write things? What's the kind of language of the people that are in this kind of wellness and meditation niche, and what can I pull out from that as well? So yeah, that's kind of how I would go about going deep into that page to try and find out a bit more about who's behind this and kind of what's going on. The other thing you can also do is have a look at which friends of yours are actually fans of the pages that you're stalking. So apologies if any of my friends, Facebook friends, are watching this training and they don't want to be associated with these pages. That's fine, I can grey that out. But for example, these are people on my friends list right now who are friends of Awakening the Mind, and that's absolutely great. That's the people that are into wellness, meditation, well-being. What I would potentially also do is then reach out to maybe a few of these people, say, hey, I'm just doing some research for a client or for a product or whatever it is. I wanted to ask you, Awakening the Mind, you know, why are you a fan of the page? What do you get from it? Why, what, how, all that kind of stuff. So that I can do some focus group research from my ideal avatar, which is actually on my friends list. Like, that's the other cool thing about this is Facebook is sharing so much data with you as well. And you know, going deeper, as we've discussed in the ads part, you can also go into the ads library and get an idea of who your what kind of ads they're running and things like that as well. So there's so much you can get from the page itself, and it's just worth spending that time to dive into the page, the associated groups, the page recommendations when you like it, what kind of friends are associated with it. And again, there's just a wealth of information that you can develop about your avatar to start thinking about who you can target as well.